Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is a special Board of Education meeting. The date is Wednesday, February 19th, 2025, and we will call this meeting to order at 5:01. I'd like to acknowledge guests. We have with us tonight as a guest, Jim Heffernan. Do we have any other guests that we'd like to acknowledge? Oh, I see Senator Weber. Suzanne is coming in.
She's in.
Wonderful. Any other guests tonight?
I see Aaron and Jason and Peter.
Just our leadership team.
Okay.
Some few members there.
Terrific.
I like the star.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so we've just opened the meeting. That we have an opportunity for public comment. Do we have any public comment? Hearing none, we can move right into new business, which is interviews for the Zone 3 board position. So we have two candidates tonight. We'll take turns. The not back and forth, like we'll interview one candidate completely, and then we'll interview the second candidate. And I'll just explain the process a little bit, because it's awkward, because this is a public meeting. It's entirely public. So your interviews are entirely public, and as are our deliberations. So you are welcome to stay and listen to each other's interviews. You're welcome to stay and listen to deliberations, or when we're ready, when we're done with the interviews, you can also check out, and I will personally call you at the end of the meeting and let you know how it goes. We were talking a few minutes ago when we were choosing who is going to say which questions. We were talking about the fact that a lot of us have been through this process of interviewing for an open position, and it's a little bit stressful. It's a little bit awkward. And so I'm just really thankful that you've applied and that you're willing to go through this process. And we're with you in feeling like this is a little bit awkward to do this in a public setting, but we have to do it that way because of public meeting laws. So at the end, if you choose to go out, I'll call you. If you choose to stay, that's your business. And that's how it'll go. So if you folks are ready,
Mary Faith.
Yep.
You may want to, I assume we probably need a motion to approve the agenda typically, and then we'll move on through.
Thank you so much. I just leapfrogged right over that. So,
eager today.
So do we have a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting?
I have to approve agenda.
Everybody.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Paul, for keeping me on track. Okay. Well, then we will start. Do you two have a preference about who goes first?
No.
Okay. Well, shall we start with Jim because he was here first?
Sure.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So Jim, we have, you said you have a brief statement. Would you like to just tell us right now?
I guess I give my statement right now.
If you want to.
Yes, I would like to.
Okay.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Here I go. I dropped out in my junior year of high school. It was October of 1963. By the magic of continuing education in September of 1964, I was attending college classes at night at Wichita State University while I maintained radars for the Air Force by day. In the intervening years, I have taken classes at 6 different colleges. Tillamook Bay Community College has been my favorite. I've always chosen the courses that interested me rather than the courses I needed for a degree. My love for machines left me with a divided heart. I could never turn my back on the factory. It paid the bills, but I'm always tempted to take another class. I'm thinking very hard right now about the film history class this spring. I've been involved with Tillamook Bay for 45 years off and on as a student, as a volunteer, and as an instructor. Its beginnings were humble. A few basic classes in the high school at night in the 80s, but the progress has been continuous. I feel a tremendous sense of community pride in knowing Tillamook Bay is now rated the 8th best community college out of 677 across the nation. I want to keep it that way. I just want to be a good citizen on the board. I have no amazing abilities or strengths to change anything about the course the college is on. I do not see a board position as a stepping stone or a parking place while waiting for a better opportunity. I would like to hold a position on the board as a defense against any candidate that might want to damage the college in the name of ideology or economy. I do bring to the board a blue collar viewpoint and an experience in industrial education. At this point in my life, writing is a great pleasure to me. To a very great extent, I learned it here at Tillamook Bay, and I wish to give back. I'm done.
Thank you, Jim. Very nice. Okay, so Suzanne's probably listening, so let me just say that because we've made time for Jim to give a statement, Suzanne, you will also be welcome to give a statement at the beginning of your interview. And let's jump right in with the first question, which I have, and that is, please briefly describe your experience of working on a board or as an elected official. It would be helpful if you included your experience, the experience you may have with developing policy.
Is that for me? That's for me.
That's for you.
Okay. In 2023, I was on the Tillamook Transportation District Board, and I sort of got in a conflict, but I learned from it, and I got it and resigned. But I've learned from that, and I think I know the rights and wrongs about being on a board now. I had lunch with Paul, and he confirmed that I do understand it better now than I did then.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any experience, Jim, with developing policy?
Some at the cheese factory, but really very minor. If you call procedures policy, yeah, that's pretty much what I spent my last 2 years at the cheese factory doing.
Thank you. So we're gonna do the whole first interview with you, Jim. So you've got all the questions, and I'll turn it over to Andrea for the second question.
So Jim, what most intrigues you about the idea of being on the board?
I tough question. I like the idea of serving the community, and I really like the idea of what the college does. And I would just like to help it. And that's it, I think.
That's fine. Thank you, Jim. Shannon?
Here I am. Jim, what do you believe the most important roles TBCC has in our community?
Providing a place for students of any age, race, whatever, who want knowledge. Whether it's as a more economical way to go on further in college, or whether it's just that people just want to know. I've always taken classes mostly just because I just want to know, but knowledge is power. When knowledge is happiness to me.
Mhm. Yeah, I can tell you're a lifelong learner. Thank you. Thank you for your answer. Hmm. Oh,
Knowledge-
Tamara has
And
the fourth question.
um, TBCC is an open access institution. What does that mean to you? How would you ensure that Tillamook Bay Community College remains a welcoming and supportive environment for all students, regardless of their background or their circumstances?
Well, the only thing I, could do on the board is vote for policies that promoted that, which I am totally in favor of, and vote against policies that were not in favor of that. I understand, you know, anybody that's running for a board says they're going to change things is lying, and I know I'm not going to change things, but I would always support open access. I don't care if it's a dirty word or not. DEI is still a good concept to me, and I'm all for it. I I always remember how grateful I was at Wichita State. A year after being a high school dropout and taking English 101 at a real university, just thrilled me to death. I'm done.
Thank you. Mary,
Oh,
you've
there
got
we
the
go.
fifth
Sorry.
question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. What do you think are some of the key challenges currently facing community colleges in this country?
Oh, finance has got to be a tough one. And I think also weaning students away from their phones and their screens. I've been very mindful of the role of attention in our lives, and I was very lucky that I'm so old that when I was born, when I was growing up, the print word was all we had, and it was a good thing to be formed by. Today we got television, the internet chopping it up, and we got to promote the printed word again. That's all I got.
Okay,
Thank
thank you.
Okay, so now I'm going to take the next question. How do you expect to represent your constituents on the TBCC board? What steps do you want to take to ensure that?
Pay attention to what's going on in the community and uh, learn from my fellow board members. And I know I I'm very tempted by the film history class that's being offered this spring. And I think that might be a good idea to see what's going on or hear what's going on. I realize, I got no influence, teachers or students, but I would like to hang around the college again. I spent about 2 years as a volunteer tutor in the English as second language class. I thought I would learn to become fluent in Spanish. It didn't work, but I had a good time with it, and it was it was the better part of my day. Of course, the second part of my day was going to swing shift at the cheese factory, so it was bound to be the better part of my day.
Thank you. Betsy?
Yeah, I'm waiting for Mary Faith to introduce me. No?
Oh,
I'm
Betsy, go right ahead.
okay, I'll go right ahead. Hi, Jim. This is Betsy. Hi. As you know, boards are made up of people with different backgrounds and opinions on many different issues. What would be your approach if maybe 2 or 3 of the TBCC board members had a totally different viewpoint on a subject that was very important to you?
Well, I would ask, I would ask, why do you think that? And you know, I've grappled with this in this political climate, and you know, I I think you could have, I think it's perfectly possible to have different opinions and not be enemies. And I have a hard time imagining, maybe I'm unrealistic, but big differences in the viewpoint in the board, because there's no, this is nonpartisan. There's no Republican, there's no Democrat. It's all about what benefits the community and what benefits the students. And I've had to be a logical thinker all my career, and I think I would certainly be a logical thinker about anything that was being discussed by the board, and I would be I think I would be a respectful listener. That's all. That's what I got.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jim.
So Jim, under normal circumstances, people are elected to the Board of Education. Are you prepared to run for the special election in May of this year?
You bet. You bet. I actually like the process of running for office. I think somehow it made me into a talker that I was never before, and I enjoy, standing up in front of people and uh, trying to explain my views and asking for votes. And I, win, lose, or draw, I will be. I've filed on Zone 3, and I intend to stay. Win, lose, or draw, I'm still going to campaign for it.
Nice, thank you.
Unless if nobody, if I lose and nobody files for the at-large position, I might chicken out. But otherwise, I live in Zone 3, and I would like to campaign for Zone 3.
Thank you. Well, I have the final question, which is to ask you if you have any questions for us.
Well, yes, I do. I've been talking with Britta Lawrence. I've got this idea is I want to screen the movie Norma Ray from 1979. It's a very pro-union movement, and I've talked to the Democrats, and there's no, we don't do that. And I've talked to Sadie Walker at the theater, and she wants to do it, but she suggested I talk to the college, and I talked to Britta, and if I were a board member, would that be construed as interfering or unethical in some way?
If you made money at it,
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
if you made money at it,
Oh, okay. No money involved. I was maybe hoping the college might help with the rental of the Coliseum, but I don't know.
I'll invite Paul to speak up and answer your question if there's a more thorough answer.
No, I think that's it. I think if, as long as you weren't making money, or I would think it wasn't pushing a particular political agenda one way or another, or partisan agenda one way or the other, I don't see there as being a conflict with the board.
Okay, it's a very pro-union movie, but it was, it won an Oscar for Sally Field, and it was nominated for a Best Picture.
Do you have any other questions, Jim?
No, that's all I got.
Okay.
I think lunch with Paul answered anything else I might have had. I just had, it occurred to me while I've been pursuing this screening of Norma Ray that might be dodgy.
Well, thank you very much, Jim. Thank you for applying. Thank you for going through this process with us. And this concludes our interview with you. And now we're going to start our interview with Suzanne. Welcome, Suzanne.
How nice to see you.
And
Um,
you.
And you can hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
Good.
Would you like to start with a statement like Jim did?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. Then we can just jump right in with the first question, which is, please briefly describe your experience of working on a board or as an elected official. And it would be helpful if you include experience you may have with developing policy.
Thank you. I've been elected to several boards and positions. I've been a city councilor, I've been a budget officer, I've been the mayor, I've been a representative, and now I'm a senator. I've also been involved in a lot of task forces that have focused on building policy. There's education task force, the hunger task force, absenteeism, ways and means education, housing, substitute teaching. Let's see. And I know there's more. I'm sorry, but I know there's more.
Thank you.
Hey,
Right now, a lot of what I'm doing is working on policy because of all of the bills coming forward. That's the policy.
Thank you.
okay, should we go on to number 2, Suzanne?
Sure.
Okay, what most intrigues you about being on this board?
Well, I have watched this college since its inception. And I have seen the success of it, and I have seen what it has provided for our community and our county. And I can see how it has grown, and the relevancy it has to our society locally, as far as building people that are great workers, great contributors to our community. And I just think it would be nice to be a part of that.
Thank you.
Shannon has question 3.
Yes, sorry, I was trying to find the unmute button. Hi, Suzanne. My name is
Hi.
Shannon Hoff, and I'm Zone 4. Nice to meet you. My question is, what do you believe are the most important roles TBCC supports or has in our community?
Well, I think that the most important role, besides educating, is creating a relevant education experience for all age groups.
Mhm.
And, building on that and expanding on that as time changes. You must be a fluid institution in order to do that. And I think that that is its most important role, and the role that I have seen it most active in. When, we needed welders, of course, we had, that available. When we needed nurses, of course, we had that available. I know that you even helped people to grow and harvest mushrooms. So, you have provided that relevancy for the community, for its education.
Great, thank you so much. Question 5.
Alrighty, this one's two-part. TBCC is an open access institution. First, what does that mean to you? And then how would you ensure that TBCC remains a welcoming and supportive environment for all students, regardless of their background and circumstances?
Well, I think that that's a mission. An open access institution really allows access to all that is produced within that institution, whether it be scientific or whether it be written. It creates access from that institution to the public. And I think that you have done that very well. But to me, it also means reducing the barriers for people to be able to attend the university, to being inclusive. We have a lot of folks in our community that don't speak English. We need to include them in our educational system to make sure that they can be as successful as they can be. That's what's going to raise us all up. I don't see anything that really would inhibit that because of the kind of community that we are.
Totally agree. Thank you.
Hi, Suzanne, it's Mary.
Hi, Mary.
My question is, what do you feel are some of the key challenges currently facing community colleges in this country?
Funding. It's making sure that statewide we have the funding to be able to continue. We may be 8th in the nation, but we're still in line for funding on the state and federal level. And so, we've got to create that community that shows that we merit that funding. And we also have to be able to lobby our legislators to make sure that they understand the importance of the education that we and in small communities are able to provide. I think that that's the biggest challenge we have, is making sure that we have an adequate funding source to continue without penalizing the students by raising the tuition to a point where they can't afford it.
Great, thank you, Suzanne.
Okay, Suzanne, what steps do you want to take to ensure that you represent the constituents of Zone 3?
Well, I'm a very good listener, and I always have an open door. I live on 3rd and Miller, and I have people that come to my door yet to this day to complain to the mayor. Now, it's kind of interesting, and I have people that pull up to me on the street, get out of their pickup, and tell me exactly what they think of a lot of things. I have an open email line, and I'm also very good at diffusing people who are very angry, to make sure that they can understand that there is someone that will advocate for them in spite of their disposition. And I'm also, I'm in touch with the HEC and DELC and all the education committees. And so I've I have understand, I understand that there are resources and there are there's a lot of things that we can do with the information we have on a statewide level. But
And
I
you-
listen, so I'm a good listener.
Betsy has a next question.
One minute, I was muted, unfortunately. Hello, I'm Betsy.
Hello.
Yes. Okay, boards made up of different people with different backgrounds and opinions on many issues. What would be your approach if possibly 2 or 3 of the TBCC board members had a different viewpoint on a subject that was very important to you?
Well, civility is very important, first of all. So you need to be able to accept other people's ideas. And if your idea is so important, you've got to be able to analyze the other people's ideas and be ready to compromise because you may not be completely right with your opinion.
You're a busy lady. Are you prepared to run for the special election in 2025?
Well, here's what I have to tell you. Yes, I would like to run for this election. However, I will not be putting any signs up. I will be on the ballot. I am busy, very busy, until the 29th of June for sure, when the session ends. And so actively campaigning is something that is going to be very difficult. And since I only get to come home maybe every other weekend or so, I'm not going to be an active campaigner. But I
Thank
will
you.
run.
Got it.
Fair enough. Thank you. I have the final question, but before I ask you if you have any questions for us, I would like to ask you, because I think it's pertinent, to talk a little bit about being a retired educator.
Yeah, 30 years, 30 plus years actually, because I count the years in Oregon, but I don't count the years in Minnesota because, people know I've been here. I was in education here for 30 years. Education is, we have sewer and water and roads and electricity and all of the infrastructure things that people are so passionate about. But the most important infrastructure item that we have is our children and our education. That is how I feel about it. I loved it. I loved every year that I taught. But I was ready to do other things, and that's why I retired.
Well, after 30 years, that's fair.
Thank you. I thought so too.
Well, do you have any questions for us?
Currently, I do not.
Okay. Thank you very much for going through this process with us. Thank you for applying, and thank you for being willing to run.
And I'm afraid I cannot stay for the rest of the meeting because I have another meeting.
Okay.
But I would appreciate it if you would send me a text or give me a call as to the results of what you decide.
I would be happy to. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to see you all.
You
Thanks,
too.
Suzanne.
Okay, Jim, now let me ask you if you would like to, did he just check out? Oh,
No.
there you are. Oh, you moved on my screen. Would you
Oh.
like to stay for the deliberations? Would you like to check out and I'll call you when we're done?
I don't know. it feels a little impolite in a way, but I can't stand the suspense of waiting. And I'd like to hear. I really would like to hear how maybe about mistakes I made in my interview. I would like to stay if I'm not.
Okay, you may, absolutely. It's up to you.
Yeah, I would like to stay.
Okay, all right. Well, now we will deliberate. So I'm just checking my agenda to make sure I didn't miss any steps here, but I don't think so. I think we move right into deliberations and board members who'd like to start.
What the heck?
Thank you.
So it's obvious that Suzanne has kind of a head start over Jim in that she's been an educator for a long time and she's a politician. She knows how to campaign, she knows how to talk and how to say, the right things. And also she heard the questions first, so she probably took notes the first time around. So, but I also think that Jim has a lot to offer to the board. He's just a little more green. And I wonder a little bit about Suzanne's time to be on the board. So those, I mean, I think they both have pluses and minuses, and that's kind of my shakedown.
Okay, thank you. Betsy.
Yeah, okay. Again, the time factor, I am wondering, okay, because of the walkout and the fact they were gone for 6 weeks last year in the legislative session, and all this, and there was a law that was made or whatever, that she is no longer allowed to run for office. So how much longer is she going to be in this as a senator? I'm not sure. I don't know how that works. Does anybody know?
I think she has 2 more years.
2 more years.
I think she does. And
Okay.
in answer to your question, I talked to her, they're in the long session right now. So
Right.
that's why she said she's very busy until June. However, the long session just happens every other year. So I think this is her final long session. And she also said she would be available to join us by Zoom. She said she'd prefer to come in person when she's here, but she'll join us by Zoom if she's not.
Right. Yes. Mhm. Okay. Thank you. That's all I have for.
Okay, thank you. Shannon?
Yes. Jim, I think that your heart is just amazingly precious. And I love everything that you said about being a high school dropout and feeling so special going to those college classes. I identify with that very much. And I love your passion around it. I love your intrigue serving the community. And again, I think I agree. Let's bring back the printed word, for crying out loud. I thought your interview was very authentic and very vulnerable, and I loved it. I do believe Suzanne probably has some skills that looks more like that board member, right? Because she's a politician, she's a teacher, she's got a lot of skills. But I just want to say I really did enjoy your interview. So keep on being you. But yeah, I have concerns around Suzanne, but again, I don't. I think she's got a lot of qualifications for what we're looking for as well. She had all the right answers.
Thank you. Who'd like to go next?
I can. I tell you what, both candidates are sincere and approachable and committed, like the dedication to the college and just really great education examples. And the differentiator is experience. As we look at the future of this college, we've got to continue being more and more connected from funding, from a legislation. So the winning tipping point for me is, you know, the experience and that understanding how critical it is, you know, long term for the college to keep that and keep that moving forward. I don't think we go wrong either way, and I think it's cool that both will likely be running. Suzanne, to me, the experience is just significantly more and ways larger long term for the college. I really enjoyed both conversations.
Thank you. Mary?
I have similar thoughts about the experience part. One of the compelling things for me is that we just lost a board member who had a very long educational background in this community, and it seems like a kind of a lucky break that we have a longtime educator wanting to kind of fill that role. On the other hand, Jim is a community-based person in a different way than Suzanne, and brings that sort of community perspective that I think maybe I bring, because I don't have an educational background or a political background. So, and I think that is valuable in a board, to have sort of the layman's role filled. But I have to say that the experience in the legislature and funding resources is very, very important, especially now. So that would be probably the thing that is striking me as very important right now in our decision.
Thank you. Betsy, you got something else?
Say much
Oh.
before.
There you go.
No, I just want to say that, yeah, Jim's answers were very heartfelt and honest and true, and I think that means so much. However, we do need someone who has a really solid background, and what's her face? Suzanne happens to have a very solid background in education, which is great, and politics. And one of her first things she mentioned that community colleges do need is funding. And I mean, she's not going to be out in the street, you know, gathering donations, but she does know the wherewithal, or she has the wherewithal of getting some funding in one way or another. So that is a definite plus. And Jim, I think you have an amazing background, certainly, yes, in your work that you've done before, and we definitely need that in the board and in a community college. We need the aspect, we need the view of people who've seen the real world, and you have. So it's not an easy choice that way. Okay.
And I just have to chime in here that I appreciate the difference, the difficulty of the choice. And I honestly think either way, the college will be well off.
Thank you. Well, I'll chime in now and say that I feel really fortunate that we have these two excellent candidates to choose from, and I wish we could have them both, which might be possible, in fact. Not tonight. We can't appoint two people tonight, but we have one open position now, and we will have one in the near future. I enjoyed Jim's interview and also your application. Thank you. And I just think it's a pleasure to talk to you, and you have a tremendous heart to serve. So
I flat admire you for staying on the line. I just think that's cool. I don't think for the other ones where
oh,
we've done this.
Hey, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Oh.
I just couldn't stand the waiting, and I was an art major once, and I got a thick skin.
That's okay. So I'll ask you not to interject again until we're done, because this is board deliberations. Thank you. So I agree with my fellow board members who were talking about Suzanne's tremendous qualifications. You know, really, we couldn't have, if we had looked, we couldn't find somebody more highly qualified than Suzanne as a retired educator, as a senator, as somebody who serves on the education committee and the Ways and Means Committee. You know, she's a champion of education, and then she would be our champion of education. And it's a tremendous opportunity. And I'm really, it means a lot to me that we've talked in this interview about values. And I really appreciate that it appears that both candidates, oh, I just lost my line. Both candidates share the values of the college and the value of the mission of the college. Both candidates do. I really appreciate that. Both of you talked about the mission, about open access, about being inclusive, and I'm really grateful for that. So so I just think this was a terrific process, and I'm grateful to both of you for participating. So let me ask now of my fellow board members if you are ready to vote.
Can I throw in one other
Yes.
small thing? You know, the question that I asked was, you know, if you have someone who disagrees with you, what do you do? Well, I cannot help but hearken back to 2023 when there were 10 legislators that walked out for 6 weeks and stymied all of the legislation that happened. And I have to say that I was actually very surprised that Suzanne did say to the question, she said, you need to compromise and change opinion if you don't agree. You know, I almost felt like jumping in there and say, well, what happened 2 years ago? So that's my little extra addition, and I could not not say that. I'm
Yeah,
done.
I think that we go down a very slippery slope by starting this without hearing both sides of that.
Yeah.
And it would have even been nicer to have you bring it up, honestly, so you can hear both sides. So that one, to me, when Paul just gave us a warning of, you know, it's not political, and the college isn't. The college is not. We are about caring for students, and the consistent access is so important. So I think that one's just a slippery slope we need to really think about before we hang our hat on that one.
Right. Tamara, I totally agree with you, but it's the word value system. That's all. I'm finished.
We
Has
need to have
nothing to do
coffee,
with politics.
Betsy.
Not politics. No, it isn't.
Okay. So do we have more deliberation to do? Are you all ready to vote?
I
Okay.
feel ready.
Okay. So Paul, shall we just ask for,
Yeah, it would be a motion if someone feels moved by a particular applicant here, they would just move for that applicant to be appointed. And if there's a second, you would have a vote, and with a majority vote, that would be the selection.
all right, thank you. I will entertain a motion from the floor.
I move to appoint Suzanne Weber to the open position.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Okay, did everybody, I'm sorry, Andrea, did you vote? Because I didn't see you. Okay. You're muted.
I will abstain.
Okay. All right. Well, the ayes have it, and Jim, I can't thank you enough for applying and being willing. And I hope you will consider running for the open at-large position.
Yeah, that,
I
You don't have to tell
well,
us now.
no,
Please.
yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely going to run, and I'm not giving up.
Good for you.
Okay,
Look forward
Jim,
to
all
it.
right.
well, and for everyone's benefit, I've talked with Paul and with Mary Faith, but my life is busy and I love the college so much and I will always be part of it and I will always do the flowers for the banquets or what have you, but I don't plan to run this year. So there is another seat open.
Okay, and I'm thinking about it and being honest. I do not think I will run for Zone 3. There's no getting around the sterling qualifications Suzanne has, and I got plenty of time to file. Well, I'll file for the at-large position. I guess that's coming up, or is it vacant now?
It's May, in May.
In May.
Yep.
Okay, I think that I really, some months ago, there was an open position on the library board. And it turned out it was me and Romy Carver. And I said, well, Romy's the better candidate. I withdraw. And I really can't argue with your vote for Suzanne. She has, even if she's going to be, well, she could probably go to a lot of the Zoom meetings between now and June, but her legislative background is something I do not have. And thank you for the experience, and I'll be seeing you around.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank
And
you.
you can file to run
Thank
for
you.
that position now, Jim.
Okay, I certainly will.
All
Thank
right.
you, Jim.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it.
Good night.
Good night, Jim. Okay, so we can't do the swearing in tonight. So we'll move on to item 5 in the president's report.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll just add that to the March meeting if that works for you, Mary Faith, the swearing in. I did want to just briefly, because there's a lot happening out there, and you may certainly have heard of can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Operating two things. I'm a simple person. That's hard for me to have two different pieces of technology here. So I did add, you may have heard that last Friday, the Department of Education Office of Civil Rights, acting assistant director, I think is the title, did issue a Dear Colleague letter regarding an executive order that President Trump had put out on January 21st about really race-based practices in institutions of higher education, not just higher education. The Dear Colleague letter applied to all education systems. And basically, the letter is a Dear Colleague letter, is not law. It's advice, basically, of how, in this case, the Office of Civil Rights is interpreting law. And in particular, the law that this Dear Colleague letter put out was based upon the 2023 Supreme Court ruling on Students for Fair Admissions versus Harvard, which basically, if you recall, that struck down any kind of affirmative action kind of practices around admissions. This letter takes, I'll leave my personal opinions aside and just talk about my opinions and what the college, I think the college's responses need to be, or lack of response needs to be, at least at this point, about this. In that letter, the Office of Civil Rights acting director or assistant director indicated that the Office of Civil Rights was expanding the application of that Supreme Court ruling, which was really just based on admissions, to the following practices: admissions, hiring, promotions, compensation, financial aid, scholarship, prizes, administrative support, discipline, housing, graduation ceremonies, and here's the catch-all, right? All other aspects of student, academic, and campus life. So basically, the Office of Civil Rights is assuming at this point their interpretation of the civil rights laws, which have been on the books for decades, that now applies. This Supreme Court ruling applies to all aspects here, and that's how they're interpreting the law. Tillamook Bay Community College has always followed law for the Office of Civil Rights law. We have for decades. We currently are in compliance with the law as we see it, and will continue to remain in compliance. None of our my opinions about the expansion of scope of this aside, none of this really hits any of our practices, policies, and procedures in general. I mean, we do feel that we are fully in compliance with the Office of Civil Rights laws. We have had numerous conversations over the past 48 hours or 72 hours with legal counsel at the state level, at the national level. There are a couple of us on here that were on a call with Association of Community College Trustees, which is a nationwide governing body. We have had counsel from OCCA, General Counsel. We have had counsel from Higher Education Coordinating Commission, and even the State Attorney General Office, that at this point, the take-home message for us is to, if you feel you have been in compliant, you are still in compliant. From their perspectives, the law has not changed. I will say that, I'm a pragmatist, and I, feel that there will come a time where we have to really look at things that we're doing and language that we're using, and we will be prepared to do that when we need to. And I will tell you that, and I hope you all certainly know that my commitment to this institution, our students in the community, will not let me jeopardize this institution, our students, or the mission of this college, right? So we will do what we need to do. I will stay steadfast in our commitment to that mission. And all I can say is I'll keep you posted, which is what everybody's been telling us from a legal point of view, is, keep serving your students and your community. And when we know more, we will let you know more about and give some advice about what we need to do. But I just wanted you to know that, as a board, you do set policy for this institution. You do have language in your policies that support our mission, and I'm operating under those. And until, like I said, until I've got information otherwise, and I'll certainly keep you informed, we'll continue to serve our students in the way that we have been. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to try to answer them. But I just felt that there's a lot of things going around out there, and it's not just impacting higher education, but it certainly is impacting a lot of aspects of our lives, and things change on a daily basis, and we'll just keep informed and make decisions as we need. It almost seems like I was on a call this morning with all of the presidents of the higher education institutions in the state of Oregon, including the private institutions, and everybody's like, well, it feels like COVID again, where we're make something happens in the morning, it's obsolete by the evening. So we'll just keep our eye on it and keep making good decisions the best we can.
It's a good analogy.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, very welcome.
Do we
Thank
have
you
any
for everything.
questions?
Yeah,
I
you're
just wanted-
welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be tough.
It is, but this been the commitment of my entire adult life, and I feel up for the challenges. So I appreciate it. And I appreciate the board support. I appreciate your willingness to go out and appoint a board member. I think that I appreciate the decision you've made. I think Suzanne will serve our college well, and I look forward to working with her moving forward. And I just met Jim for the first time last week. Enjoyed lunch with Jim, and hope that we get to stay engaged also, Jim. There's lots of ways to support this institution. We need everybody.
Well, you'll always have my support.
Thank you very much.
All right. Do we have any board member discussion items? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make
Andrea's
a motion.
moving. Okay. Andrea, do you second?
I second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We are adjourned at 6:01 p.m. Jim,
Look at
again,
that.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Jim. Nice to meet you.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
And,
everybody.
I hope to be seeing you again in July at least.
All right.
Bye,
Good
guys.
night,
Take care,
Good night.
everyone.
Good
Thank
night,
you.
everybody. Thanks again for your
Bye.
efforts.
Yep.